Hello and welcome to Rugby League 1984 and the first of the NEC big games, Canterbury-Bankstown and Parramatta from the Belmore Sports Ground. Team lineups: Chris Mortimer and Paul Taylor are the fullbacks. Canterbury's three-quarter line: Chris Anderson, Andrew Farrer, Peter Mortimer, Kevin Bobji, taking on Lydiard, Cronin, Eller and Groth. The halfback clash: Lamb and Mortimer against Kenny and Sterling. Two big packs, and the new faces in the Canterbury side: Peter Tunks and Peter Kelly, going against Paul Mayers and Stan Jurt, with Ken Stewart replacing Stephen Edge at hooker. The coaches, they're after their first big premiership: Warren Ryan from Canterbury and John Money from Parramatta. Defending champions Parramatta, running from right to left. Michael Cronin kicking off the match under the control of Kevin Roberts. And Chris Mortimer is the first of the Bulldogs to be tackled by the Parramatta defence line. Penalty, and a little bit of fisticuffs there as Billy Johnston went to ground, but the penalty has been given to Parramatta against the man who played the ball, taking the marker out of it. And at this stage we welcome into the commentary former South Sydney coach Bill Anderson. Looking forward to it?
Well, I think Parramatta have the advantage of a settled combination. They've kept their strength from 1983. Canterbury-Bankstown have built up, and they've got quite a few new faces on that score. Ray, I'm going to swing to the Eels to win this one.
Big opportunity for Parramatta to grab first points. His kick for Cronin's 20 metres in from touch. Cronin makes no mistake. So the first points come in the opening 60 seconds, and the Eels lead the Bulldogs 2-0. Big crowd in attendance at Belmore under grey skies, probably in the vicinity of 18,000 here, as Chris Mortimer stabs it down towards the Parramatta goal line. And that's David Lydiard taking it out. Lydiard met by Tunks, Lease and Robinson. Here's Stewart, former Rabbitoh, the only new face in the Parramatta side by comparison with their grand final team. Price is taking plenty of punishment in there. Tunks and Kelly were working on him. Peter Wynn has taken objection to the treatment that Price was getting, and the penalty has gone to Parramatta. Roberts has said to Peter Wynn, "I'm the referee, I'll hand out the cautions and the penalties."
One of the areas that coach Warren Ryan said that he was going to improve in the Bulldogs was the strength in their defence, and looking at that defence early in this game, they certainly are fired up.
To use a Jack Gibson expression, the Bulldogs have come out smoking, but they're trailing 2-0 as Jerd takes it ahead to the halfway. Robinson was low in 10, Tunks was over the top. Now it's Wynn. The luckless Peter Wynn. He'll be looking for a season free of injury, I would suspect, and a kick from Sterling regathered by Lydiard. Snappy football by the Eels. Good defence by Chris Mortimer. Peter Sterling, Stewart, sharp. Met by Johnston. Lease was in there too with Folks. Stewart again. Left for Taylor. Holds it up from Sterling. Gives it to Wynn. Wynn gallops down to the 22. Lydiard's inside. Again, Chris Mortimer has to make the tackle. But the Eels looking very sharp. This is the last tackle for them. Sterling will bomb it. There it goes. Mortimer tried to put him down. It's in the in goal and over the dead ball line. It'll be a 22. Place kick restart for Canterbury-Bankstown. Touch judge in. Jeff Robinson being called up. Johnston taking the tap, and Kelly with his Left knee heavily taped, takes it ahead. Johnston with a dummy half scamper. Cut down by Taylor. And here's Robinson, and again Taylor is around the legs. They've had a good record against Parramatta, Canterbury, over the years. Here at Belmore, 83. Canterbury got the points in both premiership encounters, but it was at the cricket ground when the wheels fell off. Growth! Big job over there for Kevin Pobji today. He was eventually tackled by Terry Lamb.
One could be excused for thinking that neither of these sides have had an off-season. They've both started with a tremendous amount of confidence in their handling and showing a real willingness to move the ball about.
Canterbury's penalty. And it's against Parramatta for endeavouring to screw the scrum. Not packing it square. Differential for Andrew Farah. And he puts it out into the Hill crowd. Tap to be taken just outside the Parramatta quarter by Johnston. Decoy running blindside. It came open side for Robinson. He's lost it. He's coughed it up. Sharp, Price, Sterling, Kenny. Got his pass down to Cronin. Cronin's put it on the deck. Picked up by Ella. Typical Parramatta play. First tackle, you'll find the statistics show that they have scored more tries on 1 or 6 than any other play. Peter Wynn. Driven back by the Canterbury defence. Sharp's put it down. Lamb can't go on with it. A scrum to pack now. Centre field just outside the Parramatta quarter. I told you Ken Stewart was the only new face in the Parramatta team. 4 new faces for Canterbury: Lamb, Pobji, Tunks and Kelly in today's side. Mortimer to work it. Lock forward standing. Free from the scrum when it got behind the second rower's feet. And now it's switched to the hillside, and Farah, he's got a pass inside for Peter Mortimer to score. That looks so simple. Peter Mortimer scores the first try, taking Canterbury to a 4-2 lead. See it on the NEC replay from Steve. It went through Terry Lamb. Andrew Farah galloped into open space. He ran an angle, and Peter Mortimer came inside.
Well, this is a simple 4-pointer to Canterbury-Bankstown. Really, the whole crux of the matter was that Peter Wynn just didn't have enough pace to go with Andrew Farah. He skipped clear of a tackle, turned the ball inside to Peter Mortimer, and he was in free space.
Peter Mortimer picks up the first try that you've seen tonight on the first of our NEC big game replays. Terry Lamb is the goal kicker for Canterbury. And the Canterbury 5/8 has picked up the conversion, sending Canterbury to a 6-2 lead.
You can see from this scrum that Jeff Robinson's gone into the front row, even though he's programmed as number 10 in the second row, and Peter Tunks is in the second row in a position that he's more accustomed to.
Parramatta winning the scrum, and Steve Ella wrapped up by Jim Lees. Taylor, Cronin's put it down again. Steve Folkes playing it, centre field, Parramatta's 22 line. Lees is put down with number 10, Peter Wynn, over the top. He's got a lot of blood coming from a gash in the top of the head. Peter Wynn. Peter Kelly. He's 10 metres out. Centre field. Now Johnston.
This Canterbury team is looking extremely strong in the forwards. They're being allowed to stand in tackles and offload.
Chance for a drop goal for Lamb. I think it's good. It is. Canterbury extend their lead now. 7-2 with a drop goal by Terry Lamb. We've got a bullet-like pass from Steve Mortimer. And as the saying goes, a little fish are sweet. 7-2 now for Canterbury. A worried look on Michael Cronin's face. Not only is the captain of Parramatta for the moment. Twice he's put it down, once under pressure. Not so the second time. And that kick from Cronin taken by Tunks. Robinson.
He's a crowd favourite here at Belmore.
Wild bull of the Pampas, they call him. Kelly's doing some work. This is Folks feeding off him. Ball's been put down. Scooped away by Johnston to Lease.
Parramatta just not making sure of their first up tackles. And that first up tackle, that's the most important one. You've got to make it.
Inside pass from Tunks to Anderson. Players just near the halfway line. Mortimer.
That's another example of it.
And this is Lease showing it, but being put down by Sharp and Cronin. Canterbury working it to that blind, and Mortimer's firing it off, and he's kicked it to Growth. Left knee heavily taped and ridden to the ground by Folks and Pobji. Steve Sharp. The Premier's down 7 points to 2. Mares. Cronin. He's trying to get around Tunks, but Tunks picked him up. Warren Ryan, the new coach for Canterbury, 79-82 with Newtown, took the Blue Bags to a grand final. John Money, 81-83, deputy to Jack Gibson. At the moment, it'd be a rather pleased Warren Ryan, a rather worried John Money, but not at the moment, I wouldn't think, as the Parramatta players make the ball do the work, and Ken Stewart puts it down. Folks. Taken by Jerd, side-on tackle. Chris Mortimer hitting it up hard.
If you're going to run onto a pass, that's the way to do it.
He's got Peter Wynn. He's got Peter Wynn for a swinging arm. Farah. I thought for a moment he was going to fail the fine touch. Paul Taylor looked as though he was going to move in field for it, and then all of a sudden he gave up. Good kick by Farah, as it turned out. This is Kelly. Play is now on the Parramatta 22. Steve Mortimer, short ball for Tunks. Johnston, dummy half run to the blind. Met by Sharp. And here's Mortimer, another short ball for the forward out wide. Robinson was offering the ball back to Mortimer, and then all of a sudden he got a don't argue from Mares. And another shot for drop goal from Lamb. That was charged down by Parramatta. Fallen upon by Tunks. And the ball picked up now by Lease. Peter Mortimer, taken in by Cronin. Steve Mortimer, around Mares, although he's hanging onto the leg. Farah, yellow low, Taylor high. Folks.
Kevin Roberts must have gone back to the first tackle from that knockdown in play.
Canterbury picking up a penalty.
This is one of the areas where Parramatta must have the edge on Canterbury-Bankstown. Terry Lamb isn't a noted goal kicker, although he did kick as a junior in his younger days. But of course, with the statistics that we have on Michael Cronin, you know, he's just unmatched in first-grade rugby league in Sydney as a goal kicker.
Terry Lamb, 39.3%. That was his goal-kicking record from last year at Wests. So this kick for Terry Lamb is about 18 metres in from touch. It's about 30 metres out. Here he comes. Got the height. Looks good. He's got it. The Bulldogs leading Parramatta by 9 points to 2. Johnston 51.3 last year. Stewart 48.7. Scrum won against the feed by Canterbury. That's a good trick. And a knock on. In fact, it's probably a more important statistic than the actual total at the bottom of the tape with scrums these days.
Yeah,
scrums won against the feed.
It's not a matter of how many you win and lose. It's a matter of when and where you win them.
Parramatta's won this one. Sterling trying to jink his way through, found Kenny with a good pass, and Kenny's given it to Cronin over the top to Ella, out to Growth. Growth being covered there by Andrew Farrer. He's got rid of him. No, he hasn't. Farrer hung on there. Now it's Ella. Here's Peter Wynn. Turning it back for Ella. They're 32 metres out from the Canterbury line. Sharp. Sterling. Cronin. Mears is coming up. Turn back for Sterling. Torpedoed out for Kenny now. He's away. But tripped by Lamb, which has punctuated the attack. Jerd, Stewart, Sharp. Sharp sees a gap, gallops into it, crosses 32, goes to the quarter, touched by Canterbury. It's gone to Taylor. This could be a sensational try. Cronin's got two to choose from, goes himself, and that is an absolutely magnificent rugby league try. Heavens above, where did that all start? Well, where the name of goodness did this all start from? How many sets of hands? Michael Cronin scored it. It went to Sterling, then Cronin. He jinxed as Mears came running up. He turned it inside to Sterling, who fed it out with a long pass to Kenny. He was tripped by Lamb, gave it back to Jerd. Jerd then, he did well. He got inside the defence. Stewart gave a quick ball. And then Steve Sharp, he saw an opening and galloped up to the 22. Taylor ducked under one. Cronin then had the choice of Ella inside, Growth outside, and he said, why risk it, I'll go myself. A great rugby league try.
Well, you can't practice for that, you can't teach that, you don't coach that. That's just brilliant Parramatta football.
And while all that was happening, did we happen to get a count on how many hands it went through? Peter Frelingos keeping stats for me again this year. Only 8. I thought it might have been a touch more. The kick from Cronin is one up, one down. He's given the goal. Roberts has given the goal. 9 points to 8 in favour of the Bulldogs. This will be a Canterbury feed and a very good chance for the Blue and Whites to extend their lead of 1 point. Penalty to Canterbury. It's against Stewart for getting down in the scrum. What's Andrew going to do? I think he's going to probably kick it backwards to give them 10 metres between the attack line and the defence line when they take the actual tap. That's what he's done there. If you're wondering what that was all about, Farrer just politely put the ball backwards to give himself 10 metres between himself and defence.
No doubt Canterbury will set for a play here on the 3rd or 4th tackle, and I'd be surprised if Steve Morton wasn't the critical man.
So that's the 2nd tackle, and here goes Steve Morton from dummy half. He's lost it. No, he must have gobbled it back in before it hit the ground. Now that's 4 tackles gone. I think the play was a couple back actually, but it's all fallen apart for Canterbury on this particular occasion. There's 5 tackles.
They've got extras out on the left-hand side if they can get it there.
There's the bomb by Steve Mortimer. His brother Peter, I think, is offside. Billy Johnston's got the ball. And he's ruled a turnover. So Parramatta comes up with it. What's Stan Jerd done? Well,
the rule's very clear. The player must pick up the ball, bring it to his chest, and then he's allowed to play it.
What a place on the field to do that.
Yeah, that's suicidal football.
Right in front of the uprights, the simplest of penalties for Terry Lamb. Sometimes I think a lot of players should sit down with a rule book. Terry Lamb's kicked 2 from 2. Penalty count is 7-2 in favour of Canterbury. Lamb takes a pretty big divot, but there's no worries about that one. Canterbury-Bankstown leading Parramatta 11 points to 8. Led by Mortimer, it's locked in there, the scrum collapsing. Parramatta's penalty. Down in the scrum, you'll find the last man up will be wearing a blue and white jumper. There he is. Up you get, Billy. Cronin just stabs it across the touchline as Billy Johnston gets back the 10. And 11-8 the scoreline. Chance now for Parramatta. And that's the double run round, and the dummy from Price, it nearly came off. That was almost a replica of a try we saw at Brookvale last year, but he's ruled an obstruction against Parramatta.
A little bit of Jack Gibson in that one, I think.
Oh, I reckon. Yes, it had Gibson written right across it, but very similar move to the double hit and spin that they put on against Manly at Brookvale last year that came off just the way the script was written. Here's Billy Johnston to take this tap. 10 metres from the halfway. Steve Mortimer decides that it's time to start running himself a little bit. There's folks dummying, but Canterbury forwards were stacked on top of one another. Folks to play it now, forced back by the defence. Kelly made a vigorous start to the game, Peter. He's lost it. Picked up by Taylor. Look at the urgency with Parramatta when there's a turnover of possession. They try to move it, and they try to move it fast. It'll be a knock-on against Terry Lamb. Referee Roberts calling it back.
Stan Jerd hung on there just a metre too long. If you'd given that ball more quickly to his outside backs, they certainly had a try-scoring opportunity.
Sterling's scrum feed. And he got it in there, and it's won by Parramatta. It's out with Taylor. Taylor tries to step inside the 5/8 Lamb and the lock lease. There's the result as he plays the ball. Now Sharp keeps the wrap up to the right. Gets a pass down for Price. Price losing his footing. A fairly greasy pitch. Kenny's to the halfway, but he's off to the ground.
And what a duel that one is. Brett Kenny, the Parramatta 5/8, opposed to Terry Lamb, the Canterbury 5/8. They're two people that are going to be right in the contention for the State of Origin 5/8 spot.
Yeah. Lydiard playing it on the halfway. And of course Lewis has got the jumper, and Kenny wants that, but Lamb wants Kenny's. Turned over by Parramatta. Steve Mortimer met and tackled by his opposite number. Here's Tunks getting rid of Sterling. But Stewart's there with Mayers over the top as the halfback hangs on to a boot. Bit of a breeze coming down the ground in the first half. It's with Canterbury, most definitely. Only about a three-pointer in value. This is Chris Mortimer on 5. Steve fires off a torpedo punt. It's got over the head of Lydiard, but it stopped like a sand wedge with pitching iron, and Lydiard it is. 32 metres out, playing it to Price. Taylor, dying minutes of the first half. Taylor, thumped to the ground by Robinson. Farah was underneath. Stewart. About 3 minutes of the first half to go. Canterbury leading by 3 points. Peter Wynn. Sterling to Kenny. Kenny tried to get it away. He did, but the referee has ordered the knock on. Dubious feed by Steve Mortimer. He got away with it, and then he's lofted a pass out for brother Peter, but Cronin was sweating on him. Chris Mortimer gives it to Jim Lease, and Lease is tackled by Kenny, and Cronin stays about 8 metres into Parramatta's area. And Steve Mortimer had a misunderstanding there with what play they were up to, and Andrew Farrer actually got in the road. Here he is now, Farrer. Big, young, and very strong. Peter Kelly. Taken by Cronin and Sharp. Steve Mortimer puts the bomb up. Terry Lamb is the first of the attackers going through, and another great take by the little man, Taylor. Grounded in goal, but he's been put under pressure in this first half. This little fellow, Squizzy Taylor, and he's come out of it with an unblemished record so far. Got 90 seconds of the first half remaining. It's coming down to captain Chris Anderson.
Don't be surprised if Canterbury elect to kick a field goal. There's only a minute to go in this match. They've got 6 tackles. They may not get to play them out. That extra point could be just the difference in the final wash-up.
Johnston, Robinson, they're working it in close to the uprights, into centre ground. Lamb is standing back behind the ruck. Tunks hits it up again. Nothing flash. Mortimer will fire it to Lamb. He does. Here comes the drop goal attempt. It looks fine. It looks sweet. 2 drop goals for Terry Lamb, extending the scoreline further in Canterbury's favour to 12 points to 8 now. This is how it happened. Taylor must have gone very close to getting a touch to that. Cronin. Restarting again, but the siren is all but upon us as Lease knocks on from the kickoff. Scrum might just pack. Sterling feeds it, and he's recalled it. Taking the scrum further in field. That went straight through. Now he's decided he won't put it down again. That's the end of the first half. Well played. Canterbury leading Parramatta at the break by 12 points to 8. Canterbury starting the second session, running right to left, and this is Sterling working the cross with Lydiard. Lydiard parcelled up 10 metres out from his upright. Here's Taylor making a little break. Mayers. A short ball down to Price, and then this is Jerd. Jerd trying to stay away from that touch line. Got a pass in field, but the touch judges ruled him on the line. And the scrum will go down. Midway 22, halfway. Parramatta's end of the field. To full bait then in favour of Canterbury. With the Mortimer feed and a penalty. No, he's ruled that it went straight through the tunnel. Mortimer coming around to work it again. And it's a penalty to Parramatta. This could be against the feed. It is. Putting it in the second row against Steve Mortimer. Cronin taking the line finder. 9 metres into Canterbury's area. Sterling, Jerd, Price. Short ball for Growth. Mears. Price running the decoy to the blind, Sterling to the open, then Jerd right up the middle, and Canterbury have half opened up. In fact, they fully opened up, and Kenny and Taylor, winger Eric Growth was sadly back in the play, and I'm sure John Money will be disappointed in his international winger then.
That was a good break by Parramatta. They found that hole which always exists behind the play the ball. Jerd steamed through there, found support in Taylor, but Growth was out of position and unable to finish off what could have been a try.
Jerd went steamrolling through. Kenny found Taylor. Taylor did exceptionally well, and he looked to the left for a winger, and Eric Growth was about 15 metres back. Farah finding touch. 10 metres from halfway. Robinson. Steve Mortimer. Steve Folkes. Reaching the halfway. Johnston. Taken by Sharp. Peter Mortimer giving it to Andrew Farah. Onside for Steve Mortimer. He puts on a spurt. Gives it to his captain, who's met by Steve Allen. Played over in front of the Hill patrons at Belmore. And Mortimer puts up the kick. Lydiard flew high and came down with it. Then ankle tap by Terry Lamb and hit by Andrew Farah.
They're the situations that Lydiard is most dangerous in. He's a great broken field runner. If you don't go up in 2s and 3s to make sure of him, he can certainly split you.
3-man tackle on Cronin. Just outside the quarter. Sharp. Picked up by Stewart. Now Sterling, Mears. From that gap that they found just a few minutes back with Jerd. That has been hitting. That was a tremendously exciting attempt then by Chris Mortimer to pull down that kick for touch from Peter Sterling. But now what's happened, he's given Parramatta the feed. The real Derek Randall attempt. That was a scrum. Oh, well, Kevin Roberts agrees. He's having trouble getting a tunnel. The feet are across miles before it gets in there. That's the trouble. Kenny run around with Cronin. Quick delivery out to Taylor. Linking up. Giving it to Ella. Ella's inside 32. Giving it to Lydiard. Lydiard's flying down that flank. Picked up by Anderson.
Great example there of the coordination and the pace in that Parramatta backline. The overlap was created, and Lydiard, flying down the left-hand side, was pulled down ultimately in a good tackle.
Brett Kenny is tackled now on the Canterbury 22. 12 points to 8 in favour of Canterbury. Blindside for Parramatta's Peter Sterling. Up the centre goes Cronin. He looked inside, but there wasn't anybody there. 12 metres out. Peter Wynn. Don't be surprised if Parramatta elects not to put the bomb up here. This is the 4th. Here comes 5. Sterling. Short ball for Cronin. Cronin is set for a hit and spin, but now the indication has been given. 5 tackles gone. What will Sterling do? Mears runs from dummy half. He puts it up. Came off a Canterbury player's hand. Sterling's got the ball, and he's ruled the first tackle. Good refereeing by Kevin Roberts. A barge from dummy half from Stewart. Penalty to Parramatta. He's ruled 2 markers not standing one behind the other against Canterbury. And Cronin will take...
Phil Gould moving down to the sideline, and I'd say that he's going on as a replacement in the very near future for the Canterbury team. I spoke to Warren Ryan at half-time and said to him, any changes? The answer was no, but there could be soon.
Price within 3 metres. Penalty to Parramatta. It's against the marker. And now some fisticuffs. Peter Sterling and Peter Tunks. Well, that's David and Goliath. Tunks is a giant of a man, and he and Sterling are having their own private discussion. Have a look at the size of this man, Peter Tunks, by comparison with Peter Sterling. Well, that's what it was all about. It was against Steve Mortimer for interfering with the man playing the ball. By rights, he's not supposed to touch him, but he was leaning all over him. And Cronin couldn't knock this one back.
It was a surprise that he knocked the other one back.
I'll be honest with you, I'm still a bit shocked. There's Phil Gould going on for Canterbury. A member of the good Newtown side that Warren Ryan had, in fact, is Phil Gould, and Peter Tunks coming from the field.
Yes, Phil Gould's a very good organiser of play and a very good ball handler, and maybe later in this game we might see Warren Ryan put some defence on. He's got enough players in the reserve grade like Paul Langmack and Brian Batiste who can handle that aspect of play for him.
Kick by Cronin successful, both flags up. And Canterbury continue to lead, but not by as much. 12 points to 10. Players seem to get a touch. It is a Parramatta feed. It's a Parramatta scrum, and Sterling gave it to Lydiard in from the blind wing. Kenny tries to get rid of Farah, gets a pass away, and they've coughed it up, Parramatta, but knocked backwards, said the referee. Play on. Played by Price on the 22. Sharp runs it vigorously.
Parramatta have got extras out here on the right-hand side. Growth and Ella have changed positions, and Ella's virtually unmarked.
That's Kenny. Now Wynn. Short ball. Cronin. Short ball. Growth. Growth is flying for the corner. Infield for Lydiard. Lydiard's in to score. Well, you called it Billy Anderson before it happened. David Lydiard scoring for the Eels. Their second try. Here's the replay of it. Kenny gave it to Wynn. I thought for a moment Peter Wynn had messed this one up for them, but he gave it perfectly to Cronin, who gave it on to Growth, and there was Growth running into that corner camera before he turned it for Lydiard.
Very important try this for Parramatta to get them well back into the game. They always had the extras on the right-hand side. It was simply a matter then of good passing. Growth did well. He was able to hit in the tackle, get his hands free, pop the ball up to Lydiard to score what is a vital 4-pointer for the Eels.
So Parramatta in front for only the second time in the match, thanks to David Lydiard, but of course a lot of very good lead-up work went into that try for Lydiard. Growth coming from his left flank, playing a very important part in it. Here's a good picture of what Michael's looking at. He hits it sweetly, straight over the black dot. Parramatta leading now by 16 points to 12 in the NEC big game. Canterbury trailing for only the second time in the game. They trailed 2-0 after 60 seconds. But now they're down 16-12. But there's plenty of football left in this game. Taylor. Across the ground, Ella.
Ella's been a little quiet today, and I'm expecting him really to explode any time. He's just trying to find those gaps now. He's trying to find places where he can run, looking to get more involved. And if he does, look out, Bulldogs.
Sterling. That ball was meant for Paul Mears, but it was a bad pass given to Sterling. Peter Wynn.
Hasn't stopped trying all day.
Plays very strongly. He really plays it from the heart, Peter Wynn. Ray Price gets a kick in. Oh, what a kick from Price.
That's shades of his rugby union days.
Oh, I didn't know he had that one in the bag. It must have been a 35-metre gain. It's a Bulldog feed, 10 metres their side of halfway. So the fans are seeing it down on ground level in front of the good grandstand here at Belmore. Won by the Bulldogs. Full back in, Chris Mortimer. Here's Jimmy Lease. I think, Bill, you mentioned Steve Ella's been quiet, or appeared to be quiet. I think you can put down a similar fortune for him. As for Michael Cronin, Steve Mortimer, the centre defence for Canterbury has been very strong.
Yes, they've set out today to shut out the Parramatta back line, and so far they've been fairly effective in doing it.
He's pinched Mortimer. He's pinched Mortimer, the attacking player, for holding down the defence.
The quick tap by Parramatta.
Now he's called for the scrum. I think Roberts is of the opinion that Price wasn't or didn't take it on the mark.
Yeah, Price has got to feel a little bit unfortunate in those circumstances. You don't have to tell the referee.
There's the arm of Steve Mortimer firmly locking in the hand of Paul Mayers. Bit unfortunate for Steve by the same token. He was hanging onto the ball with grim determination. Just so happens that Mayers got his arm in there and he finished up getting the penalty, but it's evened itself out. And a quick stretch to the right for Canterbury. Farah. Plenty of excitement here. There's Rugby League for 84. It's into its second day.
Great tackle.
Big hit by Peter Wynn on Jeff Roberts. 4 in front, Parramatta now. Phil Gould serving it up for Peter Kelly. Ran into Price. Now Robinson. Oh, he's had his bootlaces taken off him by Ray Price. That was a daisy cutter from Price. Johnston has tackled on 5. Now it's the turnover. Now Sterling. They were looking good out to the left, Parramatta. I thought Sterling would have spun it quickly.
Yeah, he tried to. The Canterbury outside backs did a fairly good job there of shutting that out when they didn't have the numbers. They didn't have Parramatta matched, and it looked as if Parramatta had the extras, but they couldn't go on with it.
Peter Wynn's almost given it to Canterbury. 6 more. Ray Price with it. Inside goes Growth.
Look out.
Taylor. Wynn. Run around. Paul Taylor now. Playing it just outside the 22 line. Sharp. Hits it up and gets the pass away to Sterling. Stewart to Mayers. Mayers taking it towards the halfway line, falling about 5 metres short. Now it's Cronin. Sterling. Charged down by Canterbury, picked up by Price. Now with Taylor. Underneath it is Chris Mortimer. Brought down by Kenny. And the penalty. Going to Canterbury-Bankstown. 22 minutes out from the full-time hooter. Parramatta leading by 4, 16-12.
Canterbury will be looking to hit back as soon as they possibly can in this match. Phil Gould's gone on as a replacement for his coach, Warren Ryan, and I'm sure that he'll be looking to set some sort of play up here.
He's out very wide there, Phil, as you can see in number 15 jumper. He'd be a good 30 metres from the play the ball. It's gone quickly along the line to Jimmy Lease. Now with Steve Mortimer, Terry Lamb, Peter Mortimer. He's got through the tackle of Mayers and Stewart. Knock-on ruled on a scrum, and Peter Mortimer's suffered a hand or wrist injury. He's clutching at his right wrist, Peter Mortimer. He's in a lot of pain out there. In front of a crowd, I would think, of around 18,000. At both teams' home ground. Fed by Sterling, won by Parramatta. A good heel and a clean tunnel. And he's got, I think it's Lease. He's got Lease for getting himself offside in the contest for the ball. Cronin finding touch, 5 metres into Canterbury's area.
Just got the feeling that these Parramatta backs are about to explode again.
Oh, here's a chance here for Johnston. He's keeping it on the boot. Growth picked it up. There could be big trouble for Canterbury now. Farrah's chasing Growth. He's outside the 22 and down to the 32-metre line. And a penalty will be given. Anderson has done something which was totally on my blind side and on the blind side of the cameras. Maybe the head-on may have picked it up. Wondering whether there was a little kick went in there, but I couldn't imagine Chris coming that caper. Now let's stay with Eric. The penalty's been given to the Eels. He actually loses his footing after running away from Farah. Anderson comes in there. Now, it happened here. There's the incident. I think he's got Anderson for overindulging with the right hand. Price, Wynn, Sterling, short ball, Jerd. It's down. And he's offside. No, but he's come back to the first. He's come back to the first mistake, which was a knock-on. 5 metres Canterbury side of halfway. Well, Warren Ryan is sending plenty of personnel out there, plenty of fresh stuff. John Mooney hanging in there with the same 13. Lamb got a pass away to Mortimer. There's trouble. No, there's not.
What John's looking for, he probably doesn't really have in his reserve grade. He'd be looking for some tight defence to put on.
Lease was hit by Stan Jerd. Short ball from Mortimer to Johnston. Broken forearm is the official report for Peter Mortimer.
That's rotten luck, first game of the year.
Whatever. Rotten luck for anybody at any time of the year, but the first match. Anderson plays it to Johnston. They're working to the hillside. Gould puts the cross-kick bomb back in field. I think Terry Lamb might be in front of the kick. Oh, Taylor's made a mistake. Lamb scoops it up. It's going to be a try. Popgie's in the corner. Popgie is over in the corner to equalise at 16-16. Well, Paul Taylor had been doing everything right. As Gould put the kick up, the little man just absolutely lost it. And then Lamb scooped it up and away, juggled by Jimmy Lease. Growth had too many men coming at him, and Popgie in to score in the corner.
Well, any kick which goes towards the uprights obviously creates a problem for the receiver. Here, Taylor no doubt would have been concerned about the posts. He had adequate protection, had plenty of time, but the ball slipped out, was scooped up by Lamb, and there are some good football fundamentals for you. Well taken by Lease, gave the ball to Podgie, and he went over against two defenders in the corner.
Just getting it down in time, Kevin Podgie. 13 minutes to go. He's kicked 3 from 3. Put the Dogs in front. They won't come any harder than this one for you, Terry. Hits it. Looks good. Looks great. Yes. Canterbury-Bankstown snatching the lead again. 18-16. Points the difference, 34 points scored.
And in this countdown for the last 10 minutes, there are going to be plenty of field goal attempts.
Vernon's kick, fielded by Podgie. Lease. Almost to the 22 line. Steve Mortimer, Terry Lamb, Phil Gould, beating Michael Cronin, turning it inside for Terry Lamb, supporting the ball carrier at all times. This man is Burns, the centre. He went on to replace Peter Mortimer. Gould. Ooh, Ella went for the intercept.
Well, that's a play we saw used at Western Suburbs. Warren Ryan, of course, was a lower grade coach there. And that almost came off, but Ella came off with the reverse situation. Ella read that play particularly well. He was sweating on it.
Well, now the question is in reverse. Can the Eels pull this one out?
Well, you can never feel comfortable when you're playing against Parramatta. They've got so many brilliant individual players that they're liable to do anything.
Fed by Steve Mortimer, and the scrum is collapsing. He's going to give the penalty to Parramatta.
Yeah, that was the result of a good push by the Parramatta back row.
He's got the Canterbury hooker, Billy Johnston. Well, the differential penalty, we'll see Cronin find touch about 10 metres out, and then it's a question of which move the Eels will pull out of their bag. Price and Sterling will play prominent roles. Sterling, Jerd, Price, the spin inside for Mayers. And they'll probably get themselves ready for another play on this or the next. Price takes it ahead, hits it to within 10 metres of the Canterbury line. Peter Wynn is out very wide. Sharp said there's some free metres to be gained here. They're 6 metres out, third tackle. Decoy, Sterling showing it, and grounded. 8 metres out.
Parramatta have got a chance on the wide left if they can get the ball there. There are only 3 Canterbury defenders on the other side of the goalposts.
This is where Parramatta Stewart has gone from dummy half. I think he's got it down. No! No is the ruling from Kevin Roberts. Unable to grasp it. Felled by Peter Sterling. Mortimer, Folks.
It's been surprising today that the Canterbury haven't used the chip kick to try to unsettle a Parramatta defence, but there's still time left for that.
Charged down by the Parramatta team. Chris Mortimer's had his legs knocked from under him. He passes to Jimmy Lease, and Lease is parcelled up by Cronin. Now he's passed, and Terry Lamb runs with it.
Warren Ryan wouldn't be happy with that sort of play from the Bulldogs.
Anderson's over halfway, but covering him up was David Lydiard.
Canterbury have just got their nose in front in this game, 18 points to 16, and some of the passes they're throwing just aren't necessary.
Gould. Ooh, Steve Folks was hammered to the ground by Peter Wynn. Mortimer. Jimmy Lease. Grasped by Taylor. Johnston's lost it. Knock on against Taylor. And a scrum just outside the Parramatta 22 line.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the composition of the front row here. Gould's gone into the front row for Canterbury. Gould and Johnson is the present front row.
Parramatta's got the penalty. Roberts just absolutely, looking at the facial expression, got fed up with Canterbury. He called them up a couple of times.
Well, that makes the point, Ray, that you've just got to have experienced players in that front row position.
Cronin finding touch 10 metres his side of the halfway. Well, what a start to the year. Is it a sign of the new times? Manly beaten yesterday, and it's looking like Parramatta today. Cronin, 6 metres from the halfway line. Peter Wynn, crabbing across the ground. And these Canterbury fresh men are doing a lot of cleaning up at the moment. Sterling, Sharp stands opposite, knocked down by Canterbury. That'll be a knock-on against the Bulldogs. And a scrum midway between the 22 and halfway.
With the score at 18-16 with about 4 minutes to go, it's interesting to hark back to last year in the first game when Canterbury-Bankstown did beat Parramatta by 2.
Parramatta scrum win. Taylor makes the extra man in the back line. Picks up Kenny. Kenny's taken by Farah. Near the halfway line, Price. Peter Wynn. Wynn. Tackle about 6 metres. Inside Canterbury territory. Sterling. Long ball. Picking up Stewart. Turning it back to Sterling. Sterling probing. Finding Sharp. Sharp being driven by Lamb. And he's lost it. And he's going to put a scrum down, but that tackle must have been very heavy on Stephen Sharp. Lamb was driving him one way, and then another Canterbury defender decided to drive him the other. And as a result, the ball was Flicked out, another penalty to Parramatta. He's penalising the Canterbury front row for not packing in square. Must only be seconds of this match remaining. Cronin, he's bound touch, not touched, in flight by Canterbury, and the tackle be taken 5 metres from Canterbury's line. First round of the premiership, and a cliffhanger between Canterbury and Parramatta. Almost a grand final atmosphere as Mears bumps off a tackle. Stewart spins it to Taylor. Taylor's swallowed up there by Terry Lamb.
Well, the Bulldog defence has got a hold here, but they can't afford to give away a penalty.
It's from Sterling to Groth. Groth is held. About 12 metres out. Off goes Sterling. Feeds it out to Price. Price is still going. He's pulled down about 5 metres out. Taylor, Peter Wynn. It's on the ground. Mears has it for Parramatta. Tackle number 5. Jerd. Sterling. Up goes the bomb. Ella's going through fast. They fly. Oh, it's bounced badly for Canterbury. And it's a try, I think. No, he's given no try. Line drop out. He's ruled forced by Chris Mortimer. See it again on the NEC replay. It went straight through Chris Mortimer's hands. I thought Ella was certain to score. Then it was knocked forward. A Parramatta player, Paul Taylor, almost got a hand to it. But in amongst that ruck of players, he's ruled that it was forced by Chris Mortimer. This will be Parramatta's last chance. And Sterling has lost it on the first tackle. Sterling, trying his heart out, has lost it on the first. And all that remains now, one would think, would be for Canterbury to take the ball from dummy half and kill it in time-consuming football. No matter what the result, it's been a good afternoon of rugby league. Folks, now Steve Mortimer switching it to his brother Chris. He gets it a kick. It's gone over towards Steve Ella's flank. Anderson hanging back. Here's Ella coming across the paddock. Mears goes up the middle. And he's thumped to the ground 32 metres away from the Canterbury line as the siren sounds. And it's all over. Canterbury have again beaten Parramatta at Belmore. For Canterbury, Peter Mortimer and Kevin Pobji scored the tries.
Today's Man of the Match award was won by the Canterbury 5'8", Terry Lamb, and he'll receive a cheque for $500 courtesy of NEC and Electronic Sales and Rentals. With me at the moment is a very happy Canterbury-Bankstown coach, Warren Ryan. Warren, you've got to be happy with the effort put in by Terry Lamb and the way he's fitted into the side.
Yes, well, I'm very happy with all of them. Actually, Terry played very well. He knocked a couple of field goals over, which in the long term proved the difference. And the players themselves, we've just instituted a new award. It's a beautiful looking piece of on your mantelpiece, a little silver bulldog on a rosewood stand, and Jimmy Luce was voted the first players player by his teammates. So Terry got some votes, but the players went for Jimmy Luce, so they didn't agree with you. But
getting back to those field goals, was it discussed before the match or just something that Terry ad-libbed?
Billy, you should never get in depth with a coach because you know yourself, you don't talk about it. We planned them. Of course we planned them. We didn't plan the one he missed.